Oh wow, look at this. I'm finally back again recording yet another gas mask video. Today I thought I'd do a quick comparison slash versus video of the ShMG facepiece and the ShMS facepiece, or more commonly known as the PMG and the Soviet sniper's mask. Without wasting any time, let's just jump right into it. First off, you can see that they are both SHM style helmet hood masks. Alright, so something that you're probably going to notice right away is that the ShMG has these two large holes on the top of the facepiece. This is intentional. You see there's this little seam going around, so when you stretch the rubber it's not going to rip or anything, so they meant to do this. I've heard that these holes were cut out in the facepiece because the mask was so tight that they had to loosen it a little bit. I can definitely see that being true because this mask is already just really, really tight. But some people just were saying that this is just a handle for you to carry your gas mask, or this was cut out to loosen it so it's not so tight on your head. I believe that more than a handle thing, but it also doubles up as a handle, which is kind of cool. Alright, so this isn't really an advantage or a disadvantage, so I'm just going to leave it at it as is, no points awarded to any mask. Something else that's kind of interesting to point out is that obviously these are both helmet style masks, so they are going to cover your ears and restrict hearing just a little bit. But what's kind of interesting is that, here, let me set this down. They both have little indentations for your ears. Except what's kind of interesting is that if you feel the rubber, it feels just a tad bit thinner right here, maybe. And maybe just about the same thin right here. But right around here, it gets super thin. And it has a little circle to indicate it's thinner there. But around here, it doesn't really seem to have a circle. It does appear to feel quite thin, maybe just a tad bit thicker. So I'd say this part right here is thinner than that, so I'm just going to go ahead and award 1 point to the ShMS, just because, hey, why not? It's just ever so slightly different, but you know, hearing is kind of important. I guess they're not that far off, so I guess I'll also give a half a point to the ShMG for why the hell not. Okay. They both have forward-facing optical lenses. The ShMS is more forward-facing than the ShMG, but still, they both have optical lenses, or optical-like lenses. And something that's pretty important to remember is that this is called the sniper mask, but obviously you're not going to put your scope directly against your mask like that. So with that, you could literally use a GP5 and a sniper rifle scope because, you know, the scope's going to be out here, so it's fine. But these optical masks do work better for other optical devices, such as rangefinders and like artillery pieces and stuff like that. With that being said, I am not going to award either mask any points for having superior eyepieces because they're just about the same. They have slight differences, but like I said, it doesn't really affect your vision. It just looks a little bit different. Something that I should have brought up sooner is how comfortable the masks are. Now, I was talking about how these holes up here don't really impair the mask when comparing to this, like it's just pretty much the same up here. But I should have gotten into how comfortable the masks were and awarded a point, but I did not, so I will do that now. So comparing how comfortable both of the masks are, before we actually get into that, I'm just going to say that I am a size 3. This ShMG is a size 4. It's incredibly tight. So I've heard that if you're going to order an ShMG, get a size up from whatever size you are. So a size 3, you need a size 4 because it was so tight. I can actually back that up because I've had a size 3 ShMG before and it was just incredibly tight. You know what's kind of funny is that I'm a size 3, as stated previously, but this is a size 2 ShMS, but it's pretty comfortable. It's not that bad. I am not sure if when you would get issued in ShMG, I'm not sure if they would give you a size up because they knew how tight it was, but I'm assuming they would not. They both perform a pretty good seal, but since I'm comparing how comfortable the masks are, I don't have a size 3 ShMS, but I have a size 2, and I have worn a size 3 ShMS, so I know what it feels like. But in terms of how cannot speak in terms of how comfortable the masks are, I'm gonna have to award another point to the ShMS because the right size for you or one size down, it's still pretty comfortable. It's not that bad, but just the ShMG is just really tight. Now that does make a better airtight seal, but you know, we're not comparing how good the seal is here. We're comparing how comfortable it is. And this mask is definitely more comfortable than the ShMG. So we're just gonna mark that here. Let's move on to the voice diaphragm. Now, when I'm wearing them, they both sound kind of the same, but they're both kind of just about the same in protection. I guess these holes are a bit smaller and these holes are a bit larger, so I guess it's easier for something to poke that diaphragm disc, but let's just compare the sound. So at the end of the video, I'm going to put on both of the masks and I'm going to speak, and then I'm going to review the footage and decide which diaphragm sounds more clear and, you know, who will win that challenge. Moving on to the intake and outlet valves. First off, I can't decide if I should award a point individually for the inlet valve and the outlet valve, or just combine them both. Why not? We'll do separate points. So here you can see that there's your intake valve and there's your outlet valve. This is a, you know, pretty common butterfly valve. And let me just take this off. If you see there, you can't see that. Get this light in there. There we go. See that thing at the bottom? That valve is your outlet valve. So technically this mask has 2 outlet valves, so if this valve breaks, then that valve down there still provides some protection. Well, it provides protection. Like I did back when I was using a lot of Febreze, I just removed the butterfly valve and then I tested it with just the other valve in there and it worked. So yeah, I guess you could survive with that one valve alone without the second one being needed. But when you inhale, air goes in through there and then it comes in through the sides. You can't see that, sorry. It comes in through the sides and goes up into fogs either lens. I know some people thought that that valve that I showed you inside the mask was connected to the inlet valve. It's not. When you inhale, it literally just splits off. Why am I showing off the camera? But people think this valve connects to the valve inside that I was just telling you that was the outlet valve. This valve and that valve in there do not connect at all. When you inhale, the air splits off and comes up the sides to defog the lenses like that. But these butterfly valves are pretty flimsy, but I guess they're okay. Let's set this down now. Now the ShMG has a much better outlet valve. I'd say this is definitely a bit thicker, just ever so slightly, and just, well, maybe not thicker, but it just feels more durable. So you have one outlet valve there, and you pull it back, and you probably can't see that, but in there, there's another outlet valve. Yeah, you can see it right there. behind the grate, there's a secondary outlet valve. Well, technically this would be the secondary outlet valve, but whatever. So yeah, both of these masks have 2 outlet valves, but the ShMG outlet valve is definitely more durable and looks like it could take a bit more damage. But still, they're both pretty flimsy communist outlet valves. But both of them have 2, so that's a bit of a draw, but this one definitely looks a lot better. And just, you know, that gets a point awarded to it. Now moving on to the inlet valves, the ShMS definitely gets another point because this is made out of metal right here. This is made out of rubber, and as you can see, it's the same style of outlet valve being used for the inlet valve right there, which is kind of cool. So this is a rubber thread, which it's kind of falling apart, as you can see. But yeah, when you inhale, the air comes in through here and then goes across this nose piece and defogs the lenses. Which is a very nice design, I like that. But the inlet valve is definitely not as good. And just the threads too. Well, that still is part of the inlet valve, and whatever. All right, ShMS gets another point. I don't think I'm going to compare the filters because A, I have the wrong filter here, and B, I don't know how long Soviet filters last anyway, so yeah. Another thing that's kind of interesting is that this has a neck strap because they thought it would get a little bit too loose when you're running around with it. No, not really. This is still a very tight mask, so you don't need that neck strap. It's gonna hold itself on there just fine. Which mask looks cooler to me? That's not going to be worth any points, but I'd say they're about the same. If I really had to pick, I'd probably say the ShMS, but for me, they're about the same. They're both very, very cool looking. Thing that I just realized, and this is kind of stupid, but if you have a canister attached to the bottom of your ShMS, the outlet valve is kind of guarded because if you're lying down like this, like that, your valve is guarded by this big filter. And if you have a hose, it's still going to be protected a little bit. But this ShMG doesn't have anything down there, so if you were to do that, you'd poke the valve with whatever's on the ground. But it still seems a bit kind of tougher, but it's more exposed. So, I think I'm gonna stand with my decision. Alright, so I can't really see any more features to compare because these are pretty simple masks, but if I think of any, I will include them. But another reason why the ShMS inlet valve wins is that, like I was saying, this is a rubber inlet valve and a rubber screw thread. And as you can see, this is already starting to get damaged. And it's just not as strong as the metal threads. But if you put your filter in wrong, it will screw in a little bit, but also cause a ton of damage as it's going in and not create a very good seal. But unlike this mask, the ShMS, if you put your filter in wrong, it won't even let you screw it in because it's tough. But yeah, that's just another reason why that mask wins. This is a rare left-handed size, which is kind of cool. And it's a size 4, so how awesome is that? Slightly uncommon mask with my size on it.
So yeah, that just takes a lot more effort to get on. And there we go. And you see this part where the filter is, I forgot to show you the inside of the mask, but there's a little stump that pushes into your cheek. So the tighter the mask, the more the stump pushes into your cheek. This isn't too bad, but eventually this would get very annoying. Let's put this on here. Another thing I noticed that the EO18K filter, or just, no, EO18 filters, they have kind of a high breathing resistance, which is kind of weird. But yeah, that's just kind of weird. I'm just going to keep talking, so the more audio I have to compare to the voice diaphragms, the better the results will be. I guess I can do a spin around for you guys. Now, something I actually think I will give a point to for this mask is, like I was saying, this nose area, where it defogs the lenses pretty well, it's so tight that this is acting like a nose clip. So it kind of prevents me from breathing directly onto the lenses, prevents the air from coming up and fogging it. I mean, it will fog if you kind of do stuff like that. But this works really well. It's actually a pretty well designed feature. So I'm actually going to give another point to the ShMG because this does not fog as easily as the ShMS does. Now the ShMS is kind of interesting. So if you take this off, there's kind of a little area for your nose to sit, and that's pretty good, but nowhere near as good as this thing that's pushing in right there. Oh, something else is kind of cool is that the cool vibration sounds that the diaphragm makes when you're speaking. I think I remember some people didn't know how to fix that problem, but I will tell you now. You just gotta... Oh, fuck it, that's the wrong way. You just gotta tighten your diaphragm more, and then the vibration sound goes away. But the more you loosen it, the more vibration you get. And, yeah. But you don't want to tighten it too tight, because that will damage the disc. Kind of weird how my hair sticks up here, but I'm going to take this mask off. I think I got enough audio to compare here.
Okay. Let's put the other mask on. I think this is good enough. I always make sure that my canisters are in pretty decent condition. I'm sorry, filters. I always want to make sure these are in pretty good condition. This wasn't opened before, I don't think, until Gaming Legend 88 got it and opened it, but he sealed it back up and gave it to me and I opened it again. Yeah, this is from 1977, and it wasn't used until it got opened like a year ago. And it's in pretty well preserved condition. It's pretty good. Not really any dents. There's a paint missing, very tiny dents there, but fine. And these only contain up to like, what, 5% asbestos? And if it actually does manage to seep out, it has to get through the charcoal layer, and then it has to get through the secondary particulate layer. And the amount of asbestos that might be getting into your lungs is such a small amount that it's not going to do anything, because it takes years of inhaling lots of asbestos fibers to do damage. So, what, like 5 minutes of maybe inhaling a few fibers? If it only took a few fibers to take it down, then Generation X would have lung cancer by now. Because who hasn't been inside of an old asbestos building by now? Or maybe not old, but just asbestos probably floating around in the room because it was such a commonly used material. It's just kind of everywhere now. Like, even if like a house next door to you has asbestos, they got to make sure to remove it all. Maybe they didn't be careful enough, so some fibers floated across your yard and you inhale it when you're outside running around. I don't know. Oh, sorry about that. Let's resume.
Yeah, as you can see, the mask is way smaller, but it's still pretty comfortable, not too bad. That's kind of funny. when I cleared the mask, it started to blow off my head because it's too small. But like I was saying before, these earpieces are pretty good, but like it doesn't really line up with my ears. And this is size too small, but it's actually more comfortable than the ShMG. Just by a little bit, not much. Another pressure check, why not? Now, this filter has less breathing resistance than the other ones, so that's kind of cool. Alright, so, yeah, you loosen it and it starts to vibrate a bit more. Vibration, come on, where is it? Come on, vibrate for the people. Whatever. So yeah, this actually is one of the creepiest masks I have. 25 back up out of the, here, let's see if I can. If I make it so you can't really see my eyes that well, it's actually terrifying, just the blackness in here. Just the darkness. Blackness, what the fuck is that? Ooh, this is gonna be the thumbnail. Fuck it, those are just gonna turn into memes against me. You guys are gonna turn those into memes and use them against me, I know it. Yeah. I think that's enough audio.
Okay. Visibility was about the same, like I was saying. ShMS is definitely more comfortable. So yeah, I think if the ShMG wins the diaphragm test, then it wins this competition. But yeah, I will see you in the post-edit. There's the filter stump thing I was talking about, and there's the thing that goes over your nose. And the ShMG diaphragm sounds better, so that gets a point, and the ShMG wins.